So let's just begin. Now, what we're going to do is we create a new file. We name it index.html. Now, every extension, not extension, So now let's begin, and we're going to create the first file called index.html. Okay, every file in this world with HTML needs to have .html as an extension. The first name of the file is supposed to be index, indicating this is my first file in the project. Other files will have different names, and you can have millions of files, but the first file, the main homepage, must be index name. Then let's just create the document type. Now this is a metadata. It's a basic tag. We angle bracket starts exclamation mark document type HTML, telling our browser that this is an HTML document. Again, this is not mandatory but always recommended to have. Then let's just create the first tag. We write HTML. Now every HTML document must start with this HTML tag. This is known as a start tag. This is called an ending tag in HTML. Okay, itself HTML is a tag. So this angle brackets indicate that I'm writing a tag, and the name of the tag is HTML. Okay, and this is marks the starting tag, and then with the backslash and the angle brackets indicates closing tag. Every tag in the HTML has this basic syntax. Then we write something called a head tag. Okay, so once we write a head tag, and then we're going to write another tag called body tag. Now a body tag and head tag, what are these two things? This defines the typical structure of an HTML document. Head indicates the head of the document, and the body indicates the body. Head is basically used for metadata for the browser. So everything we need to tell to the browser, we put inside the head tag, and everything we want to show to the user, we put inside the body tag. Again, this is a starting tag, starting with the angle brackets, the name of the tag, and the brackets close, and then the closing tag indicator with the angle brackets, backspace, and the head. Okay, similarly body. So you notice every structure is same, only the name of the tag is changing. This is how HTML works. Every tag you write basically needs to have these angle brackets, the name of the tag, and then the angle brackets close. This marks the starting point, and then the ending point is indicated with the backslash. So we use the same structure, just use the backslash. This is a whole entire HTML structure. Every HTML document in the world uses these three basic structures. We write HTML, close it. Inside this HTML tag, we write the head tag, which is a metadata, means data about your web page, information for the browser. And then the body tag is the information that we want to show to the user. So everything you want to display to the user goes inside the body tag. Okay, so if I have this tag, and if I start this and execute this page, basically I will get nothing. Okay, because I've not done anything yet. So currently you can see this is a file name here. We don't want this file name to appear, so to change that, we use something called a title tag. So we again start angle brackets, and we use something called title, close this cycle, and then this is it, HTML in 10 minutes. Okay, so this is HTML in 10 minutes. As soon as I save it, my page gets updated. Now you can see the tab name changes. So basically we are telling our browser that, hey, this is a web page, and the name of this web page, or the page name, is basically HTML in 10 minutes. This is our title. Then let's just move inside the body. Now this is where our display for the users goes. So what do we want to show to the users? We start with the heading tag. So now let's just learn about them. So as soon as you write h1, this is the first heading tag. Again, the tag start h1, then the body here goes. So I can say heading 1, and now I have a heading 1 as a text, and I close it. This is how a typical HTML structure works. Okay, the tag names are not case sensitive. You can write as big or as small you want, doesn't really matter. The only thing matters within HTML is using these angle brackets, providing some text, and then closing these angle brackets. So this closing tag and a starting tag matters, and the tag name changes. Done. So this is a heading 1. Heading basically means that you write a large heading size. So whatever you specify here, we specify in terms of headings. Then you can use some other tag called heading 2. This becomes my heading 2. Okay, as soon as I save it, I get a heading 2. Again, same structure. Now same structure, angle brackets, h3 is a heading 3 tag. So I use h3 as a heading 3 tag. Okay, as soon as I save it, I get a heading 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 tags. This is basically what HTML is. Oh, sorry, by the way, my name is Dr. Shanbadi. If you're still understanding here, we're starting this course in 10 minutes in HTML, and I'm going to talk about many tags, and as many tags as I can within the 10 minutes. So let's just begin, stop wasting time. Let's learn HTML. Again, just to mark you, this is not a complete course. This is just to kick you and get you started within HTML within 10 minutes. Let's begin. So now next tag we're going to talk about is called H4. Now similarly, we have 5 to 4 to 6 HTML tags. So we say HTML5. This is basically heading 5 tag. Okay. As soon as I press save, we get this. and S6. So every tag basically has a smaller size as we write on. So whenever we want to use the headings, we basically write 1, 2, 3, 4 depending on what you want to do. The second thing you to note is that every time we write a heading tag, there's a space before it and there's a new line and there's a space after it, because these heading tags are what we call the block tag. Block tag basically means that these are tags that we write within, whenever we write these tags, there's always a space and a new line automatically added to it. So this becomes a heading tag. The next tag we're going to talk about is called comment. So how do we give comments in HTML? So to give comments in HTML, we use these tags here, comments. Okay, comments basically means that these are tags that are not read by HTML or browser or anybody. These are just for a browser developer, for you to understand. So this tag, if I save it, nothing is displayed. Okay, this becomes my comment, and I can now write the comment tag as so, and I can say paragraph tags. So what, how do we write a paragraph tag? We just simply use a p tag. So every time you use a paragraph, we say this is graph, paragraph. Control S, so we get a this is paragraph, and we can write as many content as we want. And I can say this is the second line in the paragraph. Okay, control S, but you notice that it appears exactly on the same line, because the browsers does not understand that, hey, you have written this on the second line. So if I, oh, sorry, if I press enter, control S, again on the same line. If I can say, hey, control S, still on same line, however we have written it on a different lines, but our browsers are showing it as a one single line. To break it apart, we use something called a BR tag. So BR tag is used to break this line. Okay, so this is like pressing an enter but through coding. So if you want to press enter through coding, you want to use a BR tag. Now BR tag has no closing tag. Every other tag in HTML has a start and a close, but BR tag does not have closing tag. So this becomes one key thing that we need to understand. If you want to use a new line, you have to use a BR tag. Then with BR tag, there's another tag that we use is called HR tag. HR tag again is a simple horizontal ruler. HR stands for horizontal ruler, which basically means horizontal ruler. Okay, so this becomes HR horizontal ruler. If you want to use it, you would basically just use tag start, tag close, and then that's it. So it also doesn't have any new any ending tag, just like BR tag has no ending tag, HR has no ending tag. We write a paragraph here. You can write as many paragraph as you want. This is second paragraph, control S, and then now we get a second paragraph. The property of paragraph is that every time you write a paragraph, it starts as a new line and has some space before and after it as well. So paragraph tag is also considered as a block tag. Every time you write a paragraph, it will start with this paragraph. So I can write as many tags as I want depending on how wherever I want the content. So I can say this is HTML course to kick start your coding career. Okay, and that should do it. Control S, so we get paragraph text. So as many paragraphs text as I want, I can use it. And let me just close this thing. Yeah, so we can get it better. This is HTML course to kickstart, and now we get on a new line. So every time you write a paragraph, note there is no BR here and there's no spacing added, but there's always a small space here and the content comes in a new line. That's how paragraph tag works. Now if you have already understood, every HTML tag is basically starting, having a certain name and closing. That's all HTML is. Now all you need to do in an HTML is understand then what tag does what purpose. That's it. And there's no format. I can do as whatever I want. There's no structure to it. It's just simple coding. It's just simple scripting. Why we use HTML? If you're already here, you should already know it's a simple scripting language that allows us to structure the data. It's just not designing, it's just structuring the data. Now, within this, we use something called formatting tags. Now, what do we mean by formatting tags? Formatting tags allows us to have some, design aspects to it. So, for example, we use what we call a B tag, which is basically a bold tag. Okay, so this basically creates a text that is bold for us. Then we can use something called an italic tag, which is for italic text. Okay, so if I use this, now my text becomes italic. The beauty here is that I can use this within the paragraphs as well. So for example, if I come here and I can say, hey, this is an HTML course and I want this HTML to be bold, I can write this inside this paragraph tag as well. So as long as I just ensure that I can write this HTML in this way. So now what we have done here is inside the paragraph tag, we have written bold HTML course, bold close. What this indicates is that this content needs to be bold. So in my output, you can see HTML course is basically bold. This is how paragraph tag works. I can make it italic as well. So I can say I, and instead of closing here, let me just cut here and then come back and control V paste here. So this now basically becomes an HTML bolding tag. The way we properly format the coding is that if this is happening, what I usually do is I come back here, and I can say this is HTML tag, and then I come back here and make sure, because now I is there, is basically being written like this. Okay, so now you see this all structure is now working. What we should do, this is a problem not in terms of coding but it's in terms of understanding. What means is, if I is inner tag and bold is outside it, so you should actually close I tag first and then B tag later on. Now see, this code starts to make more sense. This way basically you get a better idea of how your coding is working. This is what we call the professional looking code should look like. So this is a content, then inside this we have a bold tag, inside the bold tag we have italic tag. That's all we need to understand. So if I press Ctrl S, the output is same but the code is much more readable. So always make sure you nest your code properly. So after bold italic we have something called underline. So if I say, hey, I want to make this kick as underline, so I will use \u to underline it, close it, Control X. Let me just make sure I put it other than that. So now what we have, U as underline. So now you will get an underline with it. So if you want to make it bold, use a bold tag, italic tag, underline tag. That's all it wants. So now we have a basic understanding of how tags are working. Let's just create a link within our page. So in order to create a link, we use an anchor tag, we use an H reference, and we provide a path to it, and then we close this tag. So this is link. Control S. So now you see we get a text that when I click on it should take me to another page. But which page it needs to go, we haven't provided that, which is given in the H reference. So everything you write inside the H reference goes as behaves like as a link. So in this case, I can say www.w3schools.com. So Control S. So every time now I press this link, it will take me to W3 Schools website. Okay. So if I place here, it goes and finds me the W3 Schools website link. Okay, so this is how basically this website, this link would basically work. Okay, so this is anchor tag. So every time you need to use a link, we basically use that. You can use a, and then you can say, hey, H reference, which is hyper reference. I can use, for example, another web page here. So for example, page2.html. This indicates that I have a page 2. uh, page 2 link, Control S, and then if I come back here, hit a refresh, now I get a page 2 link here. Okay, this basically indicates that my page is basically be working with in terms of this reference link. So if I click on page 2, I'm going to be redirected to my page 2 link. So if I come back here, this is my page 2. Now do note they both appear on the same link. That's why we again going to use BR. Yes, so Control S, as soon as I press BR and hit a refresh, this will take me to my new page, and this link will appear on the next line. Okay, so now we have an anchor tag that allows us to create the link. How do we create a list? To create a list, there are two ways. We create UL list, and then we create what we call OL list. Okay, these are unordered and ordered list. What do we mean by unordered? So every time we want to create a list and I want to use list items, so I can have, for example, item 1, and then similarly I can use list item. So list item li is basically a tag that creates the list items. So Control S, we get item 1, item 2 within my tags. But if you want them to be numbered, then we again you're gonna just use list item, and I can say item 1. This is basically creating a numbered list within my system. So if I say li, close it, and I say item 2, Control S, this is going to create same list but this time with numbers. Okay, so in order to create lists we use UL tags. In order to create links we create AL tags, and then if you want unordered list we use UL, ordered list OL. List item basically indicates each individual item. So now this basically is what we call the group tags, meaning that this works with a group. So li works with UL, li works with OL as well. Okay, Capish? Very easy to understand, very easy to follow. Similarly, we have a table group tab. So if I want to create a table within my code, I use a table tag. Now, in order to create a table, we need something called table heading. So this becomes, for example, heading 1. And then I can say, hey, I need another heading. So I can have a table heading, and I can say HEAD heading 2. So we have 2 rows in this table, but I don't have a content right now. So what I need what we call table row. So within this table row, I will create the table data, and then I can say, for example, data 1, and then I can create, for example, data 2, and I can say data 2, control S. So now you see we have a table with heading 1, heading 2, data 1, data 2. How this is working, this is a whole as a group nodes. What we're trying to do here is that we create a heading 1, this becomes my column 1. Heading again, th is basically for headings indicating the column names. So this is column 1, this is column 2, and inside this column we have created the row 1. So I can say, hey, this is my first row. Okay, so I can write a comment, row 1, this becomes my first row. To create the second row, okay, I will say my row 2 will again use something called tr. Tr is a tag that we use to create a second row. Inside the tr we specify td tag. Td tag defines the data. So we can say data 3, which basically means your row data. Okay, so again td same, but this time data 4. Okay, so control S, and now you can see we have data 3 here, data 4 here. So this is a new row that has been added. Inside the row we have data 1 and data 2 as column values. So this is a row and column structure. In order to do that, we use this table tag in this way. So table tag indicates that we have a table, and then we can set this values with table headers, which basically creates the heading. We can create table row, which will create the table row. Each row is there, this, and then the second row is there. Inside the second row we create table data, which is td tag, which indicates that we have a table now. Okay, so this becomes our simple table. Let's just insert an image in our tag. To insert an image, we use something called img tag. Okay, so we say, hey, img, let's have a source image to it, and then we close the img tag. Now img has no ending tag as well. All we need to do is specify a source here. The source means the image name that you want to display here, but first we need to put the image name in our folder. So let's just come back inside our folder. Inside our folder, if we go back, I should have an image called logo. Control C, let me go back in my folder. Now typically what we do is we create a new folder here, and we name it images images. Okay, inside this images we paste this file here. So what we have done is, I have a folder called html in 10 minutes. I've already created this file here, we are working on it. Inside the same folder I've created a folder called images. All my images, all my resources, extra garbage goes inside this folder. Once I'm inside this folder, I save the logo here, logo.png. Now I go back to my code, and I want to say, hey, there's a folder called images. Inside this image is a file called logo.png. Show me that logo.png. Here we are. So now we have a logo.png. Okay, so this is how we import an image. Every image in the world that you see on a web browser basically uses this image tag. Table uses table tag. So all is about tags. Now, obviously, we want to control the size and width of it. So what we're going to do, we're going to use something called attributes. Okay, so these attributes, like we did here, href is basically an attribute. Okay, similarly we're going to use src, which is again an attribute. So image space src is an attribute. Now we're going to use attribute called width, and I'm going to say, hey, let's just make it to 100 px as a pixel. Control S. Now you see the logo becomes same. Then I can specify its height as well. Now height is again another width, and I can say make it 100 pixels. Control S. So now 100 pixel height, 200 pixel width. Obviously image is skewed, so I say, nah, I don't want it. I can make it this way. Now we have this thing. This height and width we can use with the tables as well. So for example, I can come here and I can say table width. Okay, width can also be, for example, 100%. What this will basically meaning that make sure my table is 100% width of an entire web page. Okay, if you want to do that, or we can just say, hey, listen, just make it 50%. So we added this width attribute to the table as well, that will create this table as simple as 50% of width. Okay, at the same time, if I want to add more border to it or make it more visible for the tables, we use another attribute called style. So we're going to say style, and we can use, for example, border, and I can say make it 2 pixels, make it solid, and make it, for example, red in color. Okay, control S. Now you see we have a table with a border red in 2 pixels. If I want to do that in terms of its columns and table row, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to say, hey, listen, this is a table row. I want this table row to be, for example, having this style attribute. Style is attribute that allows us to design and customize our HTML tags using CSS. Do keep in mind. So I'm actually now using CSS, and I can say, for example, 2 pixels in its width, and it can have, for example, solid as its pattern, and then it can have, for example, green its color. Okay, control S, and then that would basically mean that I can use this as my style attribute for table row. This will indicate that my table row has this style attribute associated with it. Okay, so we style again is css we're going to talk later on. If you want to watch the full course, I've already uploaded the full course on css. I'll put the link in the description below. Okay, so this becomes our basic HTML tags. This is how we basically roll. All these tags are there. We create a very simple HTML. Now anything you want to do, you want to create a date, there is a tag called date. So for example, if I come here and I'm going to say, hey listen, I want a tag, so I'm going to input and I'm going to make it type, and I say make it date. Okay, control S. And then if I come back here, you see this small date icon here. If I click on this one, it should display me a date, which is actually scrolling down. I don't know why it's going here. Maybe we add some more paragraph content to it. Okay, paragraph br control S, so we can scroll it. Here is our date. If I click on this one, we get the date calendar displayed here. Okay, so now anything you want to display on your web page, all you need to understand that we have what we call very simple tags for dates, for forms, for options, and there are like 100 tags around that we can use for HTML. If you want to watch the full course, I have already made the full course on HTML in my channel, so do follow it, and all these video lectures are there. Just go inside the playlists. You can find the XML or HTML or CSS courses here. More courses are to be uploaded as soon as we get around. Okay, so thank you for watching. This is HTML basics. Hopefully you will enjoy it, and don't forget to leave your comment. Let me know what you want to learn. Huh?